Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Expert Division in the Vintage Open Tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. So let's go. Before I take my first shot, check down in the video description to get direct timestamps for all the holes in this playthrough. So if you don't want to watch hole number 1, you can skip and go directly to hole number 2 or hole number 7 or whatever you want. Also, if you do want to get the updated text guide that will be released Tuesdays during tournament week, then you can sign up on patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Last but not least, if you haven't hit that subscribe button on the channel, please do. Let's aga hole number 1. I'm going to play with a Kingmaker and extra mile level 8. Max top spin, which is 6 bars with as much side spin to the right possible at the same time. Here, the thing that we do need to look for is that we do want to play in between the rough on the left and on the right. We're going to over adjust our drive at 20% in max distance. So from that position you can see I'm using the ball slightly outside the adjustment ring there to the right with around like 25% of overpower. I don't want to push it too much, I just want to hit the fairway, then roll up here to either having a wedge or going to have a short iron towards the pin. You can see here now that this shot is slightly uphill, not that much as it would if you would be like a 10-15 yards further back. And that's something that you really need to think about. Like, the shorter drive it is, the more uphill the second shot is going to be. But if you do make a drive like that I did there, or maybe a little bit further, if you, for example, will be having an apocalypse level 5 or 6 or something like that as well, then you will be having a wedge basically every single time with no elevation adjustment whatsoever. I'm going to do it pretty simple for myself here. I'm going to have a wedge in maximum distance, or like at least close to maximum distance. There we do have max. So close to a maximum distance here, and I'm going to adjust this one for 1-on-1. So if the wind tells me it's 7.1, I'm going to play it 7.1 rings. And that is super important to have in mind, like that is from this position. If I would be further like in front, then I would in that case be playing with a little bit less. You could see there in the end that I did remove a little bit of my adjustment in the end and hit great left, and that kind of compensates each other out. Play 1-on-1 from that position, but it's so dependent on what drive you're gonna make, where you're gonna end up, and then you will have to be a little bit innovative when coming there. Hole number 2. Here I'm going to play with the sniper in minimum distance of my club, but I'm not going to adjust it as minimum distance. I'm going to more adjust it as medium distance. 2.5 bar backspin is what I do want to have. Now I'm playing 2 bars, but I would like you to play with 2.5 bars. Aiming straight at the pin here, mostly just to see how the ball is going to react. 7.8 rings is the adjustment that we're gonna make, as it's 1-on-1 with the wind. So I'm basically adjusting this one for medium distance with a 10% over adjustment. I bound for where I want, but the problem is that I'm coming in way much to the left. So the thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to take 2.5 bar backspin first and foremost, combined with 1.5 bar side spin to the right. But the important part for that is that I'm going to line up my shot exactly as I did now without any side spin. Once I do get the ball guy line through the hole and my target at the correct place, then I'm going to add the 1.5 bar side spin as an offsetting for the push that we're gonna get, or the bounce that we're gonna get to the left. A little bit tricky, and of course if you don't understand, please make a comment in the comment section below and I will be happy to try to explain a little bit better. So, our opponent gets up to the green here, and of course we have an easy putt. This is, though, actually a decent chance for a hole-in-one in my opinion. So, now we're gonna focus on hole number 3. Hole number 3 here is going to be a par 5, and this hole 3 here is definitely a good chance for us to make an albatross. I believe this is by far the best albatross chance we do have on on any of the holes here. We do have 2 other par 5s where the albatross is not impossible, but super tough. Or like on one of them it is impossible, we can't reach in the green too. But still, first we're gonna play the drive here. I'm going to once again play with an extra mile level 8. You can see I'm using my main account that has better clubs, but I'm using an extra mile 8 to more display as a general expert club. And have in mind that of course you can play this one with a different type of extra mile as well. You can play with a lower level extra mile and just try to replicate the shot that I'm doing with an extra mile level 8. So, our turn here, and it's time. And I'm going to use a Kingmaker ball. I'm not going to use a Power 4 ball, of course. Max side spin to the right, or as much as I possibly can, with 2 bars of topspin. You maybe wonder, why am I not using more than 2 bars? The reason being is that I do want to go short on the other fairway, or at least not go long, because I've been playing this one with 4, 5, 6 bars of topspin, and sometimes you get unlucky and get a very long roll down on the fairway and going to put you in between clubs, or maybe you put yourself up with having a short iron towards the pin. And having a short iron compared to a long iron makes the albatross much less possible, in my opinion. Still possible, but playing with a Goliath or with another long iron for the rough bump is going to be better. So I rather use less topspin, using a little bit of overpower to just kind of compensate itself out. Need to make 10% over adjustment of the drive as well when you adjust for the wind, as the ball is going to be affected a little bit more by the wind than normal. Second shot now. Now we do have an absolute splendid chance for the albatross attempt. And of course we do need to hit the ball perfect. And you know, we can see our opponent here trying to go with the Saturn shot or the claw shot. And the reason the claw shot is the better one to go with than for the rough bump is that he did reach so far on the fairway, as it's going to be better to use the backspin approach. Oh my, in this case. But be aware here, if you're using that, you need to aim much further in front of the fairway, sorry, on the green, to not go back into the rough. I've done this several times myself, thinking like, it's still just gonna stay on green, but that pushback from the backspin is going to be super hard to handle. So, okay, rough bump, and I'm going to take this one as in medium distance of my club. Make sure that the ball guideline go through the hole, not much, but a little bit through the hole. And I'm using 1.5 bar topspin here, and you can see it's going through the hole. Maybe I could back up just a tiny little bit. Then we're going to adjust for medium distance. No over adjustment, no under adjustment whatsoever. And we hit it great. No! With a perfect, I feel pretty confident it would have been super close to get that ball in the hole. But, like, you know, we can always guess, we can only guess if we hit the ball great. But, you know, it's definitely a good opportunity for hole number 3. Hole number 4, another par 3 where it is, in my opinion, like this is going to be some hole-in-ones on this one. I like to use the fairway there in front. You can see our opponent using an Oceania ball, which is a power 0 wind 5 ball. If you do have those type of balls, you can absolutely play with a sniper on that landing spot there. But, like, some people don't, and some people don't want to use those balls, even though it's tournament balls. Then I would suggest you to play with a slight different approach. And the slight different approach that I'm going to choose is that I'm going to play with a long iron and with a power 3 ball. And here an expert in a power 3 ball is going to be a Kingmaker, as I do want to reduce the wind as much as possible at the same time. So, power 3 ball, Goliath, and then we're going to use the fringe as a reference point. So, the yellow ring here is going to be close to the fringe to the top. Like, I would say, just put it just before the fringe here. It's going to be the initial target, like this, but now I'm pushing it up a little bit there. I'm also using one green square to the left of the pin as a compensation for the push that we're gonna get. Then I'm going to adjust maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment. Yes, you heard right, 20%. and I'm using 3.5 bar backspin. You can see we're coming in nicely, but just a little bit too much to the right. So with the offsetting of your ball guideline there, make sure that you offset 1 square at least, maybe a little bit more sometimes. Okay, so hole number 5, you can see there we came directly into the action with a good drive here, and I'm going to explain the drive as I'm putting my ball with 5 bars of topspin and with as much side spin to the left as possible. The thing that I'm looking for here is to put myself under the tree wrench like on the right side. So I'm going to bounce very close to the left side and bounce further in front. You can see that I was very close there, but we need to take that line as it's going to be super tough to do anything else. And also, when it comes to that drive, everyone, that you need to over adjust your drive 10%. Rather back up a little bit if you do want to use a little bit more topspin maybe. And also, let's say you so you don't have to go with overpower as well. We did end up very nicely there on the fairway, which is going to open up for us here to use our Cataclysm, but also the big dog if you do have a big dog. I'm using the Cataclysm as I have it in level 4+, otherwise I would be using the big dog. Having a tailwind for the second shot definitely is going to help, as we don't have to go with overpower in many of the cases. Sometimes if we go super short on the drive, we're definitely going to have to use overpower, but the wind here is super helpful as we are going to let the ball dry, like when shoot the ball in the wind and take it from there. You can see I'm not going to use more than a tiny little bit of overpower, which is going to of course help with a low accuracy club to get this ball for where we want to. 1.5 backspin and 2 bars of side spin to the left. We're coming in pretty nicely, and if we would be straight at the pin, might be dropping it from albatross, but I would take an eagle on this one every single day. Super tough par 5, and if we can get an eagle here, we're definitely going to gain a shot on some opponents, as there will be many birdies on this one as well. You can just see, like take as a reference, our opponent goes into the rough, and going into the rough means that you will not be able in any form, and that is completely impossible even though with tailwind, to reach for the green in 2. So stay away from that, play a conservative drive, rather back up a little bit to give yourself room to bounce and roll over to the fairway past the bunkers, and then go for the green from that area. Som en norrsken på him. So we putted in, take the eagle, and focus on hole number 6. Hole number 6 is kind of a, I would say it's a strange hole, it's also a little bit stranger now once they have changed the fairway just there by the green. By meaning changing the fairways, that is much more bumpier now than it was the last time we had this hole in the tournament. Also, even though we do have some tailwind, the water that is put there is much bigger. As I said in the regular playthrough and in the other playthroughs, the water is much bigger than before, which is going to, in my opinion, make a hook shot here absolutely super hard to get to where we want to. And we're gonna risk so much. Our opponent rolls out there on the fairway with a little bit of luck. I'm not going to choose that route. I'm going to choose the right side, and I'm going to play with a quarterback. Giving myself accuracy, giving myself ball guideline is going to help myself big time to get my ball to where I want. You can see here I'm in max distance of my club. I'm not going to stretch out my adjustment, just trying to see how the ball guideline is going to act. Using 4.5 bar topspin and as much side spin to the right as possible. The side spin to the right is to help my ball to keep it on the right side and also compensate for like a possible great shot to the left. Adjusting 1-on-1 here, which means that I take the wind, I see it 7.8, and then I'm adjusting 7.8 rings with the quarterback. And here you can see we're ending up in a very nice position. And here is also something for you to have in mind here, that depending on where you end up on the fairway on the right, the elevation adjustment is going to change. Let's say we are before the hill a little bit, then we are going to play it uphill 10%. So we're going to subtract, take away 10%. If we are up on the hill, we're going to play it without any uphill adjustment or without any like downhill adjustments. We're just going to play it as it is. That is because before the hill, it's going to be an uphill shot. I can't explain it more than that, but just something to have in mind so you're not going to mess up the approach shot just because of that. And otherwise as well, I did forget about that due to like the elevation part. The drive 5% downhill if you play with another club than the quarterback. Then you need to add 5% to that adjustment. You can see here now, look here, we are kind of almost on top of the hill here. So this makes this one a little bit tougher than the other one. We are in minimum distance of our club. That's something that we can know at least. And I'm trying to use the beginning of the fairway here, which is something that I would be thinking, I should have been thinking a little bit better about that, because I'm going to be very, very close to be in between clubs here. You can see, in between clubs, and now when having less than 10 seconds left on the clock, then I need to go with it. I need to run with it here. So going with 3-bar backspin and some side spin to the left, also some curl as well, to just keep my ball there on the left side. We bounce in here, coming way much to the left, stay away with the curl, but also Tommy, not put yourself in a position where you can be in between clubs. So move your target further ahead, use a little bit more backspin, and then it's going to be good. Hole number 7, super important par 5 here, that if we can get the eagle here, we're definitely going to have an advantage over some of the opponents. Why? It's because we cannot reach for the green in 2 here, so we need to ship it in from distance. Here I'm going to play with the quarterback, 3 bars of topspin with a 1-to-1 adjustment. That means I'm going to play it exactly what the wind shows. So 9.9 in wind, and I'm going to play it 9.9 rings. And I think I said that, 3 bars of topspin. The thing that I'm looking for is to put myself as close to the top as possible. It's going to make the second shot much easier, because the second shot we're gonna have to have a lot of distance and to put ourselves up for a good shot towards the pin. And then you maybe wonder, like, I kind of answered that question already though, but once you do go into this hole, a power 3 ball is super important. Not for the drive, as you can see we're playing with a quarterback and can reach without any problems, but for the second shot. We do need distance there, and if we would be having like a power 1, power 0 ball, it would be tough even with overpowering to reach for where we want to. And I'm going to show you here now where I do want our ball to land. Okay, so now I'm going to play with the Cataclysm here. Cataclysm level 5, max topspin, 2 bars of side spin to the right. You can see here, I want to play with distance. Power 3 ball and a club that gives you distance. Cataclysm or the big dog is the best clubs here. Then we're gonna stretch out, adjust our numbers, and then we're going to use the overpower that feels most comfortable. Now we made a good drive, so we don't need to use any overpower. But if you go short, you might, with your drive, you might want to use a little bit of overpower. So now we are playing from this position here, which is kind of like just where the shadow begins. This shot is extremely tough to replicate. The reason being is that we do not have any yardage number to go from. It's like there isn't any measurement to see how far we shot the second shot, which make this shot here something that we will have to find and try to build a reference. I feel that going into the shadow just in the beginning there is going to be in between medium and maximum distance as for an adjustment. So let's say that you have medium numbers saying 6 rings and your maximum says 7 rings, then I will be playing it 6.5 rings. But once again, if we are a little bit further up or a little bit further into the shadow there, or like our opponent here a little bit before, or maybe we're using another power ball, that's slightly going to change. But playing with a power 3 ball, that is the estimation that I'm making. So playing it in between medium and maximum distance. I'm aiming straight at the hole, giving myself approximately 3/4 of a square in terms of distance, like having my tip of my ball guideline approximately 3/4 of a square before. Then we're going to adjust this shot. It's going to be 5 rings completely. And you can see here now we're going to be very close. And that is what this hole is all about, I would say. That we're gonna be close and hopefully we can get it in. Get in! Oh! Super close. If we can gain an eagle here, definitely an advantage. Super tough par 5. I would say it's by far one of the tougher par 5s to make an eagle on in the whole game. So, yes. Hole number 8, par 3, last par 3. Here we're gonna use the red ring by the rough on the bottom there. You can see here I'm using a little bit of the blue ring inside, so basically like half of the blue ring, but I want you to back up just a tiny little bit. Then we're going to adjust this shot for being not as we did. We did adjust it for 9.6 range, which is 1-on-1 plus 1 with the sniper, which is also maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. The thing that we do need to do here, and something that I would like you to do, is to adjust this 1-on-1 plus half a ring, which is going to, in this case, like with our, now I don't remember our wind, but let's say we take our opponent's wind here. 13 in wind would have given us 13.5 rings with the sniper as an example, just so to let you know what the 1-on-1 plus half a ring is going to mean. So, and of course, don't play with a power 5 ball on a par 3, please. So it's definitely not going to help you achieve an hole-in-one. But this is a very tough par 3 once again, and I say that a lot with a lot of the holes, but it is a little bit bumpy where we bounce, and sometimes we're going to get not as a consistent bounce as we want to, and that is hard to kind of counter from. The only thing that you need and can do is to put yourself as close as possible by using the adjustments that is available. And sure, you can play with a different ball, different club if you want to, but I like the sniper here when it comes to playing on hole number 8 and also for the par 3s in general, to give ourselves the best possible accuracy and best possible ball guideline. So now hole number 9, and we're gonna end up with a par 4. First time we have a par 4 as hole number 9 in a tournament for like, wow, yeah, in more than a year. And we're gonna start by saying 10% downhill for the drive. Super important that we do add that. And I'm going to use an extra mile level 8 here and trying to gain as much distance as possible on the second fairway without pushing it too hard, so we're getting into the rough. Our opponent here is gonna push it too hard. I don't like using max overpower here, and then of course with the topspin as well, gonna roll into the rough. So try to find a way without risking going into the rough here, because if you do go into the rough, then it's almost to say goodbye to the eagle here. If I would be going with my extra mile here, max side spin to the right and also 4 bars of topspin, and I'm going to let the yellow ring be by the rough on the right. You can see there, I am fairly close to the rough there, and if you feel uncomfortable being so close to an obstacle, then pull out so you give yourself 1 or 2 rings more to the right. Now, the reason I want us to be that close is that I do want to keep ourselves as far right on the fairway as possible, as it slopes down right to left. You can see here we're gonna bounce, but we're still gonna get a bounce to the left here. But 4 bars of topspin, perfect. A much side spin as possible, and last but not least, as I said in the beginning, we over adjust our drive 10%. Super important once again, so we get the correct adjustment there. Because if we don't use the 10%, we might gonna drive directly into the rough and don't know what and be very mad at ourselves. Second shot here now. Now it's time for the Guardian. The Guardian is an excellent club here. It's the same for people that are or players that are playing in Pro, but also Master, and of course if you have it in Rookie. The Guardian is a must to have in your bag. Doesn't matter what level you have it in, you need to use it. Because we do need the backspin with the Guardian to actually have a chance for the Eagle. Without the Guardian, I would say the chance for an Eagle is very minimal here. Now our opponent makes a very good shot here with a rough iron. Honestly, that was a super good shot. Even though, but the birdie isn't there yet, but it was a good rough iron shot. Now, focus on our shot here, and we're gonna play with the Guardian, level 7, max backspin. And once again, max backspin on any Guardian you have. And now I'm going to offset and play on the right side here, because I do want the second bounce be on the fairway on the back there, because that's a massive slope, so we'll push the ball back down with the backspin towards the pin. And you can see I'm using a reference of 3, like the blue ring, just touching the cup on the left. And that's a very good reference to go with. Medium distance, with no over and no under adjustment. Bounce here and roll. We roll, get in the hole. Oh my god. So close, so close, so close. But this was a playthrough for Expert Division in a Vintage Open tournament. Finally, a much tougher tournament, and we have to earn the drops big time this time. We do have hole number 1. That is a must in my opinion. We need to get that one, even though if it's a wedge or a short iron, we do need to get that one if we're gonna compete in the top. We do have hole number 7, which is an opportunity for the Eagle. The Eagle will be considered as a bonus. The other holes, we do have the par 3s that I will actually say are not hole 8, but the other 2 par 3s, hole number 2 and hole number 4, is good opportunities actually. So really study them. Tweak whatever you need to tweak. For those of you that do want to get the updated text guides to help you tweak the adjustment, but also help you get more pinpointed, patreon.com/golf/tommy is the place for that. Before you go, do not forget to hit the thumbs up if you like the content. That is much appreciated. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Vintage Open tournament.